Assassin's Creed Shadows has dropped a few months ago, and it's a game that Ubisoft desperately needs to succeed in order to keep their heads above the water. And according to their metrics, this game has become the second most successful launch from the AC franchise. That doesn't surprise me at all, considering it's a game that I think most players have been asking for since like Assassin's Creed 2, when they were conjuring up the potential time periods that they could visit in the series. You know, I was a little kid playing AC2 and looking up these theory videos on like old YouTube, and just trying to see where they could possibly end up. And one of those places that had me hyped was Japan. It made sense to me because we just finished the game in Italy, so now Japan will probably be the next best place. It'd be the perfect setting for the next Assassin's Creed franchise, but for some reason, they kept delaying the idea until the year 2025. But it was already too late. Something already filled that itch for me, which was a PlayStation exclusive by the name Ghost of Tsushima. This game was basically being called like the Assassin's Creed game in Japan that we've all been looking for. Like the parkour and stealth was very reminiscent of early Assassin's Creed, but also having like the very artistic beauty of a well-crafted video game. So naturally, I had to compare this game to Assassin's Creed Shadows, which is kind of unfair if you think about it. I think Ghost of Tsushima definitely did a better job of setting a video game in Japan. So I'm not going to compare this game to AC Shadows because it's kind of unfair. So in this video, I'll just review Assassin's Creed as itself without mentioning the G word. So to get the positive things out of the way, the best part about the game is easily Yasuke. He's the best character with the most satisfying character arc out of the two players that you could play. He's this giant brute that can use his strength to his advantage. Plus using the Spartan kick is always fun to use. Spartan kick! In this game, they kind of took away that stupid ass stamina bar that was in Assassin's Creed Mirage, which is a good thing because I hated that mechanic. Like the way I like to play the Assassin's Creed games is very ultra aggressive. So when I roll up to an enemy base, I'm basically trying to be that one-man army that's trying to take down everything within my line of sight as efficiently as possible. So the fact that they took away the stamina bar made me pretty happy. They also added a follow button, because they know how much people really love the walk and talk missions, which kind of lessens my disdain for those walking dialogue segments, but in my opinion, I still don't like it. And what's worse is there's quite a bit of these walking dialogue bits in the game, so get ready to get used to that. Naoi's grappling tool was pretty cool to use, especially when scaling these really tall, repetitive climbing segments for like those synchronization points. I'm not gonna lie, it does get pretty frustrating at times when you want to use it and it doesn't work. Why the fuck do you insist on dropping on the floor? Naoi, what the fuck are you doing, Naoi? Like if you jump before you get that prompt, it won't deploy. The trick is, you just have to point your stick towards like the grappling point and sometimes it will activate. It's a really cool ability, but I think having a dedicated jump button would have probably cleared up some of the confusion while using it. The parkour mechanics is different depending on who you play. So if you play as Naoi, she has the fanciest parkour method I've ever seen, the whole Assassin's Creed franchise. So she definitely gets a lot of style points when she's just jumping around for me. But then when you play as Yasuke, he's pretty limited with what he can do. I've never seen that in an Assassin's Creed game before, that's actually funny. Which does get frustrating at times because I only want to play as Yasuke most of the time because of his playstyle. It really seems like the game really wants you to play as Naoi because of how much easier it is to traverse all the environments. Like if you try to climb buildings with Yasuke, it just won't work because his armor is heavy and I guess he's too buff for that. But I just think the character switching should be a little bit more seamless because I feel like you have to go through many different menus before you can actually switch your character. And of course, since it's an Ubisoft game, the gameplay is pretty fun to some extent. The executions are pretty brutal. I feel like they've taken some of the executions from their For Honor franchise, but I really don't mind because it makes executing enemies pretty fun to see. Ubisoft gets a lot of shit from their games, but I'm not gonna lie, they do nail down the gameplay at least. Naoi's gameplay is fine, but the real standout for me is Yasuke. So whenever I get the chance to play as him, 9 times out of 10, I'm definitely picking Yasuke. There's also a setting in the game that lets you turn on instant assassination, meaning that enemies will die when you hit the assassination button, just like in the old Assassin's Creed games. I was like running in, trying to stealth assassinate everyone in like one fell swoop, so it was pretty fun. Which is something I hope they keep in the future titles of Assassin's Creed, because I'm all up for player choice and catering however people play. And in terms of glitches, I really didn't experience much. There was this one glitch where the audio desynchronized for me because I killed a civilian out of gamer curiosity and got punished in the game by giving me bad audio. So I'm gonna take the L on that one. But there was just a few times where the doors wouldn't load, but overall no significant crashes or bugs that really stood out to me. And then just like that, that's where all my praise for this game just disappears. And now I'm gonna talk about the things I didn't like. Quick warning, I'm going to throw out a spoiler warning for those who don't want the plot of Assassin's Creed Shadows or AC Valhalla spoiled, so be warned. Alright, with that out of the way, The main thing I didn't like about this game is the lack of the assassins in this game. Like, it's part of the title, and I feel like it was barely mentioned in the game. The only hint that I've ever had that it was set in the Assassin's Creed universe was when they gave you the hidden blade in the very beginning of the game, but other than that, I had to play almost half the game before I got a correlation between the assassins and our two protagonists. And what's more insulting about calling this game an Assassin's Creed game is that there's no Templar or assassin connection till like the very end of the game. That shit was straight infuriating for being like a so-called Assassin's Creed game. Like, I wanted to see how the Templars' influence affected Japan, but whatever tidbit of lore they gave me seemed so negligible and was like added last minute, just so they can still call this thing an Assassin's Creed game. Like, we took down this order before we found out that they weren't even tied to the Templars in any way. Like, they gave us that corny-ass line saying, oh, we aren't even the real threat to Japan.
It is in everyone's interest that you find them before they find us, samurai. You were afraid of them, terrified.
What? Bro, what are you talking about, man?
And don't get me started with the animus anomalies that are around the map. Like, why have this shit if you're not gonna tie this game into the modern day segments? I was really looking forward to see what they do with Basim's storyline, you know, from that cliffhanger from Valhalla, or even to get more lore about how the assassins and Templars are doing in the modern day. After playing the main story, they never mentioned Basim or even referenced the modern day Assassin's Creed war that's been going on. The only mention of anything close to being modern is locked behind some optional quest. And even then, I've seen the cutscenes on YouTube. I'm so glad I didn't do it because it really did not look like the payoff was worth it. Like, one of the main reasons why I even considered playing either Origins, Odyssey, or even Valhalla is because they had the modern segment to it. And it made me curious to see where they're going to take this storyline, especially in the modern day. Because someday, I'm hoping that they're going to make a modern day Assassin's Creed, but that'll likely never happen. Because it seems like Ubisoft really doesn't care about the modern day segments anymore, or even care to elaborate on the Assassin's lore within this game. So it seems like this word Assassins is just optional content now. They're really just doubling down on the RPG aspects. Like, this is the farthest that the AC franchise has ever strayed from their original identity. Like, why call it Assassin's Creed at this point? Like, I guess I'm just gonna have to accept the fact that, like, the whole golden era of, like, the Ezio trilogy, or when Desmond Miles was, like, the center of the AC franchise, is just gone now. And a lot of people are just really digging this genre that they've created with AC Origins. So I understand that from a business perspective, this is why they would rather dump the whole AC bullshit and retain more of the RPG elements that got people talking about Assassin's Creed again. As far as me, you know, an original fan of like the old Assassin's Creed games, I just really dislike how they treated this game and the whole Assassin storyline in the game. I'm starting to think that this franchise is no longer for me and I'll just have to accept it. And this is just how the Assassin's Creed games are just going to be handled from now on. What's crazy is that there's two main characters, and some of their storylines were not as satisfying to follow as I wanted to be. Like, I feel like Naoi got dealt a bad hand, because she had the potential for a pretty cool storyline. Like, her father was brutally murdered in front of her, so she has every reason to kill every person in that circle. But instead, once you finish assassinating everyone in that circle, you get treated with an optional boss fight that doesn't feel fulfilling at all. And then you get Yasuke, and his character arc was just far more superior than Naoi's. He has the most satisfying end to his character arc because he gets revenge on the people who did him dirty in the story. And it felt pretty good to take them all down. And I also heavily dislike the amount of traveling you have to do in this game. There are missions where I just went to the objective only to get the dialogue to basically say that you went to the wrong place. And then I got sent on another side mission to basically complete this objective all the way on the other side of the map. That shit was so infuriating because it was just a straight up waste of my time. Like, why not keep them in the same place? Why do you have to have me travel across the galaxy to finish this mission that you sent me on? And not to mention the fact that these places are really far apart from each other. Like, that's just some straight bullshit. And to add insult to injury, the game for some reason slows down your character in between the towns, which really pisses me off because I'm trying to get to my next destination as fast as possible, so I can actually get to do the fun stuff that I enjoy, which is the combat. You know, Jake Palladino pretty much nailed the description about this game. This game is intended to be like a podcast game, meaning you get to play this game while also having some other shit play in the background. Well, you know, the game automatically does like the boring shit for you, like the walking or like the traveling in between different places. There's only a few games that I can really tolerate this bullshit, but I'm kind of tired of Assassin's Creed doing it to me. Another thing that pisses me off about this game is how they handle the investigations. Like, since you don't have the eagle anymore, getting to your next objective is significantly harder now. You kind of have to listen to the locals now and just explore around town and kind of listen to little clues that they give you in order to progress the missions. That shit was so dumb. I turned on guided exploration as soon as possible, and that fixed that annoying extra step off the rip, because I don't need these suits from Ubisoft artificially extending my playtime just so they can keep making more money from me. Well, at the end of the day, I think if you're still into the whole RPG part of the Assassin's Creed game, then more power to you. This game is more of what you're looking for. it's a fine game for someone, that someone's not gonna be me. I just don't like the extra fluff that they have to add when it comes to like the exploration or even the endless objectives that don't feel meaningful to me. I wanted something more substantial like the old school Assassin's Creed game, but I guess this game is just a wake-up call for me to just put those hopes and dreams of having a real classic Assassin's Creed game to the side. I don't know, but some part of me still hopes that one day they're gonna just make one Assassin's Creed game that focuses on like action adventure and possibly reintroduces like a modern day protagonist. But if you want something more substantial that's also set in Japan, I'd recommend Ghost of Tsushima over this game, to be honest. But that's just my opinion. Anyways guys, if you guys liked the video, go and hit the like button and subscribe. Until then, I'll see you guys on the next one.